good? Much love, many blessings. Figure this is a good time to actually jump in because I actually want to do the upload for this segment, but it looks like the day is taking a little bit longer. Things are getting a little bit away from me, but that's okay. Because what I'm going to end up doing is actually doing a live. I was actually going to post the segment when I do it to my YouTube, but by the time I do that and then upload it, probably it won't be at the dedicated time that I want to do. But ultimately, I'm taking a different approach with some of the things I want to do, because I talk about Kink Mindfulness, or I might make posts, but I haven't really been expanding on it. But that's just because I haven't wanted to make the time to do it yet. One of the things that I have been admitting or just honoring within myself is that sometimes when I have really big ideas or pivots that I'm taking, I kind of unveil everything all at once. So I may actually take on more than I can necessarily choose, so I don't end up actually committing fully to things that actually need a chance to grow. So just touching on like the Kink Mindfulness and 304 posts, there are actually other segments that I want to do, but this is actually one of the first ones I wanted to do. So like the 304 is kind of just really thinking on those numerical numbers, or those power numbers are 3, 0, and 4, and just kind of that double pun innuendo with the kind of the sacred hoe. But 3 is definitely an activation number or initiation. So 0 is always going to be the first infinity, and 4 is that solidarity. So energetically, this is communicating the need of what are we doing with the energy. There's new ways we can use our energy. So there's just a lot of things that's been coming into awareness and with spirit. And in particular, I believe that I actually want to take this also driving this as well, is the fact that we're like in the Leo season. And Leo has a lot to deal with pleasures. It's the royal sign in the zodiac. It has a lot to deal with pleasure. It has a lot to deal with, when we enter Leo season, there's a collective activation within the heart chakra and the sacral chakra. Usually those two kind of go hand in hand for Leo, because there's a lot of the amenities and the pampering and the pleasures and the 5 senses and what's being catered to. Am I being catered to? Am I being pleased? So the self-love journey, the pleasure activism journey, these things activate when we get Leo. We want to have fun. We think about children. We may think about our children. We may think about our inner child. So where we feel those activations. So, I was just thinking about those pivots. We had the recent 8-8 portal. So there's a lot of attraction going on, a lot of openness. So Spirit is really asking, like, what can we be open to? What can we pivot to? So definitely, like, just with this particular topic, like, what is our desire for love? Because, ultimately, our desire for love is essentially the same. But I find that, like, as we're trying to, when we're speaking on the sacral activation, because of the damage that we may suffer in our sacral chakra, our how we come across intimacy, how we come across sex, how we view it, when we feel blocked by it, or we feel that sex is wrong, corrupted, or we have a ill sense of love, it corrupts something that's actually very natural for us. So speaking on like the 7 layers and just our dealing with our 7 chakras, it's like when we deal with energetic centers such as our sacral chakra, where our imagination, our manifestation, and those things source from, because that sources from that area, that sacral chakra area, the things that come from there, such as our pleasures and the things that we want to manifest for ourselves that make us feel good and spark that passion for purpose, we'll downplay those things because we're also not accepting of the energy that comes from that area. So because that area deals with a lot of what makes us happy on a personal level and on a soul level, we have to pass through this gate of kind of the sexual energy and sex, or just the sexual identity as it relates to us. And because we have a damaged or skewed relationship with how we relate to sex, we also have a skewed perception of how we relate to the sexual things, or things that are triggered from sexual fuel and sexual momentum, such as Shakti energy, imaginative energy, good feelings, high vibrational energy, Kundalini energy. All these things, a lot of these things source from lower spaces in the sacral chakra. That's how we get that divine chaos and create these things. So as I'm touching on this, I kind of want to seed those thoughts to be kind of the topic of what is our purpose, or what is it we get from our desire. So I'll definitely be like getting that set up. I know I'm a little bit over what when I wanted to actually post, but these are the things that I kind of want to touch base with and kind of set up for what you should be thinking about, because I feel that in a lot of ways when we touch on our sexual energy, when we ask these questions, like when we think on desire, you know, like we're supposed to be happy within ourselves. Like when we wake up, you should be happy just from waking up, and meaning that your own happiness, it means you should be content. You shouldn't need anything outside of yourself when you first wake up in the morning. So when you wake up, that means you should be just happy just for drawing breath. So just speaking on desire means there's something outside of yourself that you don't have that you want. So that means that there's something that you're not in harmony with at this time that you would like to have. So by definition, desire is discontent, because you're not content with yourself as you are. So what is it you desire? And the issue is that because desires a lot of times come from the root or lower areas such as the sacral or root, or our authentic pleasures and desires come from our sacral chakra. When we have damaged sexual energy or sexual experiences, our sacral chakra is also skewed, or it's like having glasses on with cracks in the lenses. You're seeing it, but you're not seeing it clearly. So you may not actually get the full picture, or you may miss the mark. So because we have damaged relationships with our sacral chakra, we may feel this pure intent, but not actualize it. So we end up, because the energy skips or it moves up. Because energy moves up from the root, and moves up, and we're not honoring it, it may skip. So it may skip from the sacral chakra, skip the solar plexus, and without actualizing things in our solar plexus where things are goal oriented, and we actually create tangible, crystallized plans for making it real, we skip that process because we don't even think that it's worth having. It skips the heart. The heart is where we honor our authentic truth. So it's skipping there. We'll deny it. If we can't have it, why are we even honoring that it's even real? I don't like that shit. Abjugation, you know? So it moves to the higher chakra. So a lot of times desire skips. We don't consider it even probable. We don't even consider it possible. So the moment we feel something that could be something that we like, we may write something that we like off as desire. And then we take desire and write that off without even considering it as fantasy, because it ends up in the higher. It skips all these other chakras where we could do something with it, process it, and it just goes to our throat. It just goes to our higher realms where we just envision it. And we don't do anything tangible to actually create a realistic thing for it, to crystallize it in our reality. So what ends up happening for a lot of us is that when we start feeling these authentic pleasures, if we suffer damage, we're just letting that shit be a fantasy. So we take desire and we relate fantasy in the same pool. But we're supposed to think on our emotions. We're supposed to think on, why do I desire this? Obviously from the context of, first, if we're having a desire, we should be thinking about, okay, is this desire healthy to have, and can I get it in a healthy way? And when we run into situations where, is this a healthy desire, but can I not get it in a healthy way? What is blocking me from being able to get it? Is it something that I'm creating in my perception and pride? Or are the circumstances, or are there relationships and things that I'm responsible to, connection-wise, that don't allow me to go about this without there being consequences to get it? So if we're still striving for something that may actually even be toxic for us, it's not to feel guilty about it, but we should start asking the question, why do I want this thing? What is this thing turning me on, or this thing that makes me horny, say about me during this time? Why do I want this? Like when we feel our creative energy getting active, like even for myself personally, like in this Leo season, I was feeling all this activation, like feeling like, yeah, you know, it's a sunny, vibrant energy. I'm feeling joyful. I'm feeling that sun activation. And I started to notice that when I was feeling all this inspirational energy, I was getting into my work, getting into new projects, taking pivots. But then when I started having to get to responsibilities, legitimate responsibilities, you know, just work and just other things that had to be catered to, I started to have to put some of these things that I was inspired by to the side. And I started to notice, like, okay, I'll get back to that. Okay, I'll get back to that. I got to do something else. You know, just how you have to prioritize sometimes. And I started to notice it, like, okay, why am I getting sexually excited? Why am I feeling this sexual buildup? Why am I feeling horny or feeling excited during this time? Why am I having thoughts of more sexual fantasies? Why am I noticing that there's a parallel between when I feel behind on what it is I authentically want to do? I start to get horny, I start to get excited, I start to get sexually sloth, or even sexually active. You know, it's just all channeled a different way. So I said, what's the parallel between this? Is it because I'm not able to do what it is I want to do, so the energy's not being transmuted, so it's bottling up? okay, so now I'm feeling horny. I'm feeling like I need to have some self-care, some masturbation, or whatever it is I need to release this energy. So what happens, aren't we dealing with similar things like this when we're feeling a desire? Whatever desires we have that we're not able to actually actualize, by law of energy, energy is not destroyed. You can't destroy energy once it's created. It has to go somewhere. So what happens to this energy that we're not honoring, that's skipping these processes? It's actualizing in our root or sacral, and then we're not giving it life in our solar plexus. We're not honoring it in our heart. So where is it? It's just in our head, but it's got to go somewhere. So you're in this relationship and your girl's not doing what you want her to do, or you're in this marriage and your husband is too close-minded, and they're not fulfilling the fantasies that you want them to fulfill. So this energy has to go somewhere. Whenever you have a desire, if it's not actualized, then it becomes a dark desire. So like when we talk about things like our Lilith placements, or these spaces where when we have suppressed things, these things actualize as either suppressed triggers where it manifests as recklessness, or areas of opportunity of growth and healing. And this is the energy that we give away. This is the energy that when we don't honor our desires, they convert to dark desires, and we find a way. So I'm not getting what I want in my connection, my relationship, from my job, so I'm going to steal. My job's not paying me enough, so I'm going to steal. I'm going to take extra time. My relationship's not open enough, so I'm going to cheat and do it with somebody that is. Either way, even though it's a corruption of the energy, and you're not honoring it in an authentic way, you're honoring it in an inauthentic way, you're still pursuing the energy, and energy has to be honored. Authentic energy has to go where it's supposed to go. So these are things that we need to be asking ourselves when we feel these desires. Am I able to handle it or manifest it? And if I'm having these dark desires, it's not to look at yourself and be like, oh, I'm like this dark gremlin or some random shit like that, but it's to look at yourself and evaluate your energy on a deeper level, so that you understand, what is my energetic body, what is my body communicating to me during this time? Because